Okay, this is Windwalker Economy. Um, this is just a quick blog I wrote on my resume portfolio website, um, just gathering kind of the ideas I've learned from GDC talk, as well as this, I guess, WordPress website here that has a lot of useful information in terms of balancing a game. And what I've realized is how important economies are. I mean, economies are how most games are balanced. And it's something that I used to think about, but I guess not to the level I'm currently thinking about it. So yesterday I wrote this thing, just kind of what I found during my learnings and how I'm using it to balance the Windwalker's economy and the game itself. So I'm just going to go over this a little bit. Um, Initially, I started off with some goals, so define how item levels and gold should be calculated, as well as a metric to balance stats around item level or gold, and then revisiting the current systems that we have implemented that I guess were spawned without too much studying about like what makes a good game economy. Um, but I do think my initial like system wasn't too off, and it was also built in a way where it's easy to change. I mean, we're still kind of starting to put that economy together, so it's not too late. That's what I'm trying to say. So basically, when a player levels up, their base like item level gain is +2 from 1 to 10, levels 1 through 10. And then once they get to their first class, represented here by these levels 11 through 30, they'll gain around 6.5 item level per player level. And then over here from 31 to 50, they'll gain around 8 per item level. So this calculation isn't counting base stats or items, but we're going to mention that a little later. So at around level 10, they'll have base item level 18, 141 at 30, and then almost 300 for 50. For monsters, they work slightly differently. Um, from 0 to 10, monsters will gain +4 item level at each level. And then what's different here is from 11 to 30, they don't gain the 40 from these first 10 levels. It'll instead be, if it's a level 30 monster, it'll be 9 times 30. So at each kind of tier, every previous level is multiplied by this new stat. And that's something that essentially will make monsters kind of scale, I guess, almost like exponentially, just non-linearly. Um, because yeah, every time they reach a higher tier, they'll just gain significantly more item level stats. And essentially could potentially it's this could potentially make the game more challenging as the player levels up. So these are kind of examples, comparison to these: 1840, 141, 270, 300, 250, or 300 and 550. Right. So this kind of exists, this like gap between these two numbers, because players are going to get items. These items are going to have item levels that are going to make them stronger. Um, Additionally, players will have pets, um, and monsters can also be in groups of 3. And then bosses is going to be a different system as well. Or we can do something similar here where bosses per level they gain, I don't know, like from 0 to 10, it'll be different. It'll be like +40 or something. Um, yeah, so next thing was is it here? So just looking at how item rarity affects item stats in Windwalker, and before when I did this, when I made like this system, didn't really put too much thought into it. I was like, okay, each rarity, there's a new stat on the item, but I also want that stat value to be higher, so I kind of just incremented them however I wanted to, essentially. Um, but then yesterday I actually put this out on paper, so you can see the baseline here, but then once you add another stat to it and increase the multiplier, it's 1.3 times better than the tier before, and then the one after is 1.3 times better than the tier before, 1.6 better, and then 2.3 better. And then at the end, you have an item that's 7.5 times the stats of the common equivalent. And that's pretty damn high, um, but it does kind of fit into what we want, where um, towards like the end game and the more people play, we want them to definitely have the ultra rare items, and that's kind of for the design. But at the same time, this seems like a really high number in comparison to that. Um, and then as well as these differences are a bit strange, it's not very consistent. 1.3 difference, 1.3 difference again, and 1.6, and then 2.3. So what I did instead was change the multipliers. I like having the additional stats, but potentially we could do like a one stat, two stat, three stat, three stat, and then four stat or something like that. But yeah, so what I did was I just changed the multiplier and wrote the difference. So at each tier there is a slight jump, um, more consistent, I guess, than before. So here we have a 0.05 times increase, and then a zero point 0.1, and then at the highest tier, a 0.25 or 0.35. Yep. So this is, yeah, I just wanted to practice making a graph. So this is what it looked like visually before the change, and then in the green is what we see after the change. So after that, yeah, so I needed to start by putting some sort of gold value on something. And up till now, what we've been bouncing for is item level. So I just threw out this number. Let's say each item level correlates to 10 gold. And then I ran some examples with some weapons. Or sorry, so each item level is 10 gold. And then for each rarity, there's going to be a multiplier. So this is important because what I'm going to show next, I didn't factor this in. And I'm not sure quite yet if I'm going to factor this in, but we'll see. So here I just run through a few examples on how I calculate the value of these numbers. And then, so every monster in Windwalker can drop a chest at a rate of 2% chance of dropping it, as well as a weapon chest. So I did just a basic calculation. For a level 50 player, assuming the chest will drop at any item rarity with equal chance, its median rarity multiplier is 1.94. That's adding these together and then dividing by how many rarities there are, which gives you that number. I use my Unity item generator tool, generate 15 swords, and I saw that the item level was around 160. So a chest that gives one rare sword at level 50 gives an expected value of 160 being the item level, 10 being the gold multiplier, and then 1.94 being the item rarity multiplier, which gives us this number, 3,104. So now we can say with decent certainty that killing a monster that can drop this chest at level 50 gives an expected value of this number times the percentage, which is about 62.08 gold. And they can also drop weapon chests, which conveniently um, have the same value as the armor chest. So we can just multiply this by 2. So if if we were fighting monsters or a monster at level 50, we can say with some degree of certainty that killing that monster will give us this value, which is really important for balancing um, things in general. And as we add content to the game and different items, the more we can um, define that relationship between that item to the item level or gold, the better we can balance the game. So yeah, it's just really cool to think about and learn. So what I did today just now was go over the loot table for our game, and more specifically just the chests. And so what I did up here is define a few variables. So the gold per item level is 10. Item level that a player gains per level on average is 2.7. So this number can change. Um, and then what I can adjust in this sheet is to change this player level, and then I'll see these gold values change as I do that. Um, chest above level, chest average level above player. This is just the average of 0 to 5, which is 2.5, because most of these chests are going to be dropping um, items at 2.5 levels above the player. And then, so these chests have items that are guaranteed to drop, and the value is calculated here. They also have a chance of dropping certain things. So 33% chance. The gold value of it is written here. And these things scale by level. So that's the reason why we have this adjustable player level here. So if I increase this, you'll see that the gold value changes. Um, what else? So yeah, these are different percentages. And then other chests also drop gold. And gold also scales by player level. And this kind of just automatically begins to show the importance of creating a well-designed economy. So there are a few things that I haven't done yet, and that's kind of going to be my homework, is to put a price tag on things that are more difficult to relate to um, in terms of like a relationship with gold or item level. Experience boost, um, harder to evaluate, win tokens, that's our premium currency. Um, yeah, so we don't know how much these chests are going to cost, um, but we're getting there. Now that we have gold defined, we can kind of use the gold item level relationship to put a value on the win token. And then once we like evaluate the worth of these, like a Pandora's box can actually drop itself. So we can multiply that value and include all of that in. So um, yeah, it's super data driven, but also super cool to see. And I can also just at a glance see, oh, are these premium chests worth it um, for these players, and how does it increase by level? So level 6, a player at level 6 will get 800 gold worth at a tier 1, not counting the things not underlined. But at level 10, it'll be about 400 more. So I don't know if 4 levels again, it'll be around 400 more. Yeah, it seems like it. But yeah, it scales by level, and yeah, it's just a really useful tool for me to see what these gold values are. Treasure chest. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for watching.